splendiferous humans of the interwebs. Welcome to eSpot Live. My name is EIlie. Rodney's name is Rodney. Rodney is my emotional support dog, and he is good. Welcome. Happy Monday. Happy holidays. We've entered that weird sort of vortex between Christmas and New Year's that, like, is just like some sort of bizarre no man's land, it always feels like. And even more so this year. I saw a meme talking about that. It's like talking about the time between Christmas and New Year's, and it just crossed it out and said between March and New Year's, because let's be real, this year's been a timeless mess. But super fun in some ways. Anyways, enough of that. For today's disclaimers, the only real major disclaimer that I have is that the weather here is a little bit wonky. And while I love it, my interwebs does not. In the past, I've had trouble whenever there's, clouds. So, here's to hoping it's going to be a smooth stream. But, as always, I just kind of beg y'all's patience in case something does go a little off. Just let me know in the chat if anything goes wonky. I've got Jedi Roxy in the chat. Welcome. Yay. Hi, Jedi Roxy. So yeah, that's really all I have for disclaimers. Again, as always, just let me know. If anything goes weird or wonky, I will do my best to fix it, or I'll just kind of awkwardly talk about the fact that it's broken, because that's usually what happens. But we'll figure it out, and we can go from there. So yeah. That's all I really have. Hi, I said my name, I said welcome, disclaimers. On to entertainment news. Alright, so first up in things to chat about today is another acquisition, because these are always super fun. There's been a lot of this year, and obviously, as I've talked about in the past, I'm pretty new to this industry and to learning about it and everything, so I don't know if it's just normal to have everybody buy out everyone else, or if it's just this year, in addition to, everything else going on, if there's just a bunch of changes happening as people are restructuring, who knows? But the newest acquisition deal that's rocking the entertainment world, specifically the gaming industry, is Tencent. So Tencent has officially acquired Leyou Technologies in what was a $1.5 billion deal. Whenever I talk about money like this, it's just, like, so far above my head. Like, I know that that's a lot of money. It's just a lot of money. So yeah, pretty big deal. But what this means is that this enormous Chinese corporation conglomerate now owns even more of the games that you might be familiar with. So the deal was actually hinted at earlier this year, with Sony also reported to be interested, but was officially signed off by Leyou shareholders December 11th. So it is done. It was finalized last Wednesday. Now, when looking into the history of this company and, why this is a big deal, some very, very fascinating stuff. Leyou was a chicken processing company, which has many illustrious connections to the video game industry, apparently. So yeah, no, legitimately just a chicken processing company. And then in 2014, they began to diversify into video games by acquiring a majority stake in a Canadian developer, Digital Extremes. If you're not familiar with them, they're the developer of Warframe. Subsequently, once they've realized kind of the success in this diversification, they just decided to go all in, and they actually sold off the chicken business in 2016. And then they acquired British developer Splash Damage, which most recently is known for working on Gears Multiplayer and Gears Tactics, as well as a 20% stake in developer Certain Affinity, which in recent times has been working on Call of Duty, Modern Warfare Remastered, and Halo Infinite. So they've now, like, really involved in video game development, which, again, coming from, I just would love to have been in that room where, the shareholders are sitting around a table. Or, not all the shareholders, obviously, but, like, the board, that's the word I'm looking for. the board's sitting around a table going, this chicken business, it's not giving us as much money as it has in the past. What can we do about it? And somebody's like, we can diversify. And everybody's like, yeah, that's such a good idea. What's related to the chicken business that we can diversify into? And somebody's like, video games. And somehow that was a good enough idea that it literally changed the entire company. So as far as like history is concerned, the history of like any given company, this is one of my favorites story-wise. So heyo, chicken to video games, as you do. So that's kind of the background of this company, Liu, which again has been officially bought and acquired by Tencent. So, also, like, so Liu was kind of gone through. Wow, English just died right there. This company went through and started, investing in and taking major stakes in all these different development companies. And then they went on to establish their own Athlon Games, which is currently working with Amazon on the Lord of the Rings MMO as a publishing partner. So while Liu might not be a household name, you're definitely familiar, if you game at all, really, you're probably familiar with at least some of the games that they're involved in, even if you don't necessarily know their name. So that makes this a bigger acquisition than you might think, really. So with this large-scale acquisition, that brings Tencent Holdings to just a really comprehensive level. So Tencent is outright owner of developers like Riot Games and Funcom. It owns just under 50% of Epic Games. It also has stakes in Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft, Paradox Interactive, and many, many more. So they've got their hands in almost like all major video game companies. Well, that's a bit broad, but like a bunch of major video game companies. They are, however, known for giving creative freedom and providing that. Liu was known with among the companies that they acquired for, again, providing that creative freedom. There's quotes from, the Splash Damage co-founder and CEO that really kind of emphasizes the fact that this isn't going to change with that acquisition to Tencent. So when they were acquired by Liu, they were still given this creative freedom. And in these dealings with Tencent and with this major acquisition, it's also been made abundantly clear that they're going to continue on with that creative freedom, which is really important, I think, in any kind of big deal like this. So this isn't something to necessarily be worried about in terms of what it's going to mean for your favorite games. Honestly, on a large scale, it probably just means more funding. More so than really anything else. They're expressing excitement over the acquisition. Everybody's been super positive about it. Warframe's developer has released quotes on this as well, saying, "We will continue to create great content for Warframe. We will remain creatively independent. Our focus will remain on listening to you, our community, upgrading Warframe based on your feedback, and developing the kinds of great stories, gameplay, and incredible new Space Ninja action you've come to expect from us." Tencent is well known for respecting the creative decisions and integrity of its studios and for giving them the autonomy and independence to experiment, innovate, and thrive. So it seems like nobody's overly upset about this. The biggest thing I think that makes this a kind of big deal is that while the companies involved and partnered with Tencent have only good things to say about it, it's attracting attention from the US government as it's a major Chinese company, and there is a slight concern that it will impact sales in other areas. So, for instance, in recent weeks, we've seen that Western digital storefronts are too scared to sell a Taiwanese horror game for fear of offending China. So it's almost like more politically impactful than it is within the video game world. So this acquisition is going to come and go and be something that, as consumers, we probably won't even really notice. Like I said, if anything, it'll just be probably better funding for all of these independent developers, but it's interesting to view from a political scale, and it'll be very, very fascinating to see kind of what comes of this from that perspective. Because as I'm learning personally more and more, the video game industry is, like, I knew it was massive, I knew it was impactful, I knew all of these things, but I don't think I realized how integrated it was in everything. All of these video game companies are, carry major impact for the entire entertainment industry, and the entertainment industry at large carries a massive impact on literal global economies and everything else. So again, we're going to keep an eye out on this topic, mostly for kind of that political perspective, to see how that impacts, because that's also going to then come back and impact the entertainment industry. So that's all I really have to say about that particular topic, which, wasn't awkward until I made it awkward. Anyways, moving right along. The next topic I want to talk a little bit about is new information on Pokemon. So, Pokemon Coco is the most recent film to join the franchise. Fans are absolutely eager for this jungle adventure to come stateside after its big premiere in Japan. So it premiered on Christmas Day in Japan. Everybody's super stoked about it. Can't wait to get their hands on it. The interesting thing is it seems to share some very intriguing details about Ash's history, specifically his dad. This, I think, was a surprise to many, many people. So, thanks to a certain novelization of the film, fans even stateside have learned that Ash received a bit of advice from his dad that's talked about in this film. So it seems that Ash Ketchum does know who his dad is, and he even recalls this advice, which he got from his old man, that impacts his daily life. Who knew? This is like... This is kind of a big deal for character development. I don't know, just something they randomly drop in after, however many years of lore being built, but hey-oh. So yeah, earlier this month, fans were told by Pokemon Coco director Tetsuya Yojima that Ash's father would tie into its story, because our hero gets some solid advice. According to the film's novelization, Ash has a short conversation with Coco about his father. So the moment comes while Ash is trying to really connect with Coco and relate when it comes to dads, as a newcomer is at odds with his adoptive father. And so it's here that Ash shares the wise words of his father after, he was teased. So there's a quote saying, "When I was little, I'd get laughed at by my friends because of my dreams. And whenever I'd start sulking, my papa would say this to me: 'The map to your goals is inside you. If you give up now, then your dreams won't come true.'" So clearly, Ash's dad knew how to inspire, as this quote is what Ash really needed, pushed him in the right direction, and, he hasn't given up on his dream of being a Pokemon master, because of this wise quote from his dad. So, the only thing we need now as fans is to meet the man, right? Hopefully hear these words firsthand. That'd be a cool experience. So, yeah, for Pokemon fans, specifically people looking forward to this film, some possibly unexpected news there. Ash has a dad. Who knew? So that's pretty cool. Moving right along, but still somewhat connected on the Pokemon theme, Pokemon's going to be invading the International Space Station in a very special live stream. This just makes my heart so happy. Just sending random things to space. Humans are cute, man. We explore things and we poke around, and then we just bring toys with us. Which, I don't know, maybe sounds condescending. That's not my intent, though. I think it's amazing. As we all know, Pokemon took over the surface of the Earth 4 years ago with Pokemon Go, which just... the scale of that is so massive, and even continues to be. However, it seems the Pocket Monsters are not contained to the surface any longer. Pokemon is going to be involved in a very special streaming event on December 31st. So when Pokemon Go was first launched, that was actually a big question that people had, is whether or not the game could be played from space. As it turns out, the answer at the time was no. So while there are smartphones aboard the International Space Station, they're used mostly for conducting experiments and aren't necessarily or typically connected to the internet. However, this event is streaming. There have been other streams and similar things from the space station. So there is internet connectivity on the ISS. And now apparently that expands to involve Pokemon. So the official Pokemon Twitter handle and the handle for the Pokemon company in Japan as well informed us of this very special event. The announcement came on Saturday, December 26th. They did not really give away much on what to expect. So if you're interested in seeing what the company has in store, you're going to have to tune in to watch the event. This is going to be, the broadcast will begin at 11:45 p.m. December 31st, and it's going to show the very first sunrise of 2021 from aboard the International Space Station's Kibo module. That's super cool. Hey, John from YouTube! Welcome! And thank you. This is so cool. So, little distracted, but hey, that's me. For those of you who might be jumping on newly. Oh gosh. Anyways, we've expanded, so I'm now streaming both on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, which I'm super stoked about. And this is a pretty new development. So, you know, chat's up on both sides. This is exciting. So thank you, John, for jumping in and yeah, checking out the YouTube side of this. Yay! That just makes me so happy. Anyways, back to the topic, Pokemon in space, as you do. So yeah, the Kibo module, part of the International Space Station, is the largest module of the space station and is owned by the country of Japan. So the Pokemon company, for its part, did not tell us exactly what to expect to see during the stream, but its US counterpart did mention that some Pokemon will make an appearance. So it's probably safe to assume that whatever Pokemon do make it to the stream will be of the space variety. But really, there's no way to know for sure until we tune in. So stay awake, find out. Again, 11:45 p.m. December 31st. Get to watch the first sunrise of the new year from the International Space Station, which, I mean, as a nerd who's just mildly obsessed with space, just a little, I'm super excited about it anyways, but throw in Pokemon and oh my gosh, this is gonna be fun. So yeah. And then also, in addition to this being just a super fun way to ring in the new year, likes and retweets with the hashtag of Kibo are gonna earn 0.1 yen from Twitter Japan to be invested in Japan's space development program. So not only is this just super fun for nerds like me, but if you tweet about it with that hashtag, then you're helping to raise money for a space development program, which is just really freaking cool. Doesn't cost you anything. So yeah, check it out. Check out Twitter. Check out the stream if that's your thing. And we're gonna get to see Pokemon in space. I just think that's really fun. So, that's all I really got on that particular topic. Moving right along. I thought I had a transition there in my brain, and then I just started off into space and, like, lost it. So I'm gonna just skip past that, pretend it was a glitch. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We'll just jump right in. First of all, it's happening. Yay! Super fun. And second of all, it's looking like they might introduce a very specific character, which is gonna be exciting for Sonic fans. So, a little background here. The film Sonic the Hedgehog is probably best known for the controversy that happened when the trailer was initially released. If you don't remember that or somehow avoided that drama, Sonic the Hedgehog made into a film. Obviously, he's animated within that film, and but it's a live action, so characters animated in a live action film. When it was first released, alright, the character looked creepy as all get out, and the interwebs noticed and just absolutely revolted. This resulted in a massive overhaul of the entire film. They reanimated the entire film, which was a really, really big deal, and actually a rather historic event because we saw backlash from memes, essentially, dramatically shift the film. It was the correct decision because the film was successful upon release. It hit $308 million in the worldwide box office gross. money thing, pot, pool, words. I think the correct way to word that would be it grossed $308 million for its worldwide box office premiere. Anyways, so yeah, that's a little history on that movie. So because it was so successful, we're going to get to see a sequel, and hopefully we won't have the same issues with, you know, the animation in the sequel. I'm assuming they learned their lesson, and lifelike is not always... lifelike is not always the best option. Especially when dealing with, like, you know, supernatural hedgehogs. So yeah. Reports are saying that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is going to introduce core video game character Knuckles the Echidna. Woo! So, 1991. We're going to go back a little bit. Sega Genesis introduced the first game built around the character of Sonic. Blue Hedgehog with blazing speed, racing maniacally through a series of levels while collecting gold rings. The game became an absolute huge smash, launched a series that has become one of the biggest in gaming history. Sonic has been established as one of the most popular video game characters of all time. Adaptations quickly followed into multiple different varieties of mediums. I'm just not doing a very good job of wording things today, but that's fun. So yeah, this includes a variety of animated shows, several comic book series, one of which ran for a whopping 290 issues, and then finally hit the big screens in 2020 with the feature film. It's this year, by the way. Had, you know, Sonic facing off against the main antagonist of Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey. Again, I already explained the controversy behind that one. And so yeah, now we get to look forward to a sequel, which is set to begin production in May of this year. So it's set, it's coming, and reportedly, according to rumors, Knuckles is going to have more than a cameo, and will be a large role, so be officially introduced as a huge part of the sequel, which is super exciting. So Knuckles was first introduced in lore in 1994 in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. That's when he became this main character in the ongoing lore. He serves as the guardian of the pivotal Master Emerald, a gemstone that controls the series' other Chaos Emeralds. It's interesting to note that the Chaos Emeralds were not introduced in the first Sonic movie. So we're going to have to see if that's kind of like feeds into the plot of this second one. If Knuckles is arriving as reported. How they're going to integrate that and introduce it will be interesting to watch. It's also important to note that in the video games, Knuckles is initially duped by Dr. Robotnik into opposing Sonic before becoming his friend and ally. So the fact that Knuckles is going to be included is a little bit of a hint that Jim Carrey might be back, but that's not confirmed. So I want to be careful with saying that. That's not a reporting officially here by any means. This is a, this could be happening and we're excited about it. So, there's no official word yet as to whether or not Jim Carrey will be returning, but we're hoping because Knuckles is reported to be a part of it. So, hey, we'll see. We're also interested and going to be watching to see which actor is going to be tapped to voice Knuckles. And obviously everybody's going to be looking at the character's design, as that was, again, a massive deal with the first film. So here's to hoping they learned the lesson and they come up with something, you know, just not terrifying. That's it. We're not picky. We don't need much. Just don't give us nightmares. Maybe that's just me. Anyways, so yeah, here's to hoping that the next release will go much smoother than the first one. But, again, super exciting stuff for fans of the series and lore and everything else. Woohoo! I think that this is a great segue and chance and time for a break of water. A water break, if you will. Yeah, apparently the rain's affecting my brain more than it's affecting the, interwebs. So, you know, all glitches are on the streamer's end. Yeah, if you're new to watching, I harp on people to drink water. I don't even know why. It's just kind of my thing. there's usually a little bit of back and forth where people try to claim that other liquids are better than water, and I say that they're delicious, but they don't count because your kidneys need to consume water, and I learned this the hard way, which is probably why I harp on it. So, water break. Hydrate. Hydrate or dehydrate. Drink some water, people. I will be right back with more entertainment news. Back. Hopefully you didn't miss me too much. Again, I had like something in my brain to say that just stopped. What is going on? I feed off of people in the chat. So yes, hydrate. Hopefully y'all drank some water. I did. Cool. Moving right along. Next up to chat about in entertainment news, if you are a fan of Bob Ross, and if you are a fan of Magic the Gathering, these two things do not seem like they're connected, but now they are! Yay! Anyways, a new Magic the Gathering card Secret Lair set is going to feature artwork painted by the legendary Bob Ross. So, this brand new Happy Little Gathering set, which just the title of it just makes me happy too. It's part of a limited edition Secret Lair series, which is going to offer one-of-a-kind collectible sets from various unique artists that reimagine famous Magic the Gathering cards. So, reported by Vice, Wizards of the Coast has partnered with Bob Ross Estate to create a set of land cards featuring environmental artwork from the Soothing Painter, who passed in 1995. Magic players are also going to be able to use these collectible cards in-game, and a recent leak suggests that they may be brought to Magic the Gathering Arena in the near future. We'll have to see on that one, though. The card set is available in foil and non-foil. We'll also be featuring an Evolving Wilds card that features a variety of biomes from the Bob Ross back catalog. So, if you've somehow managed to miss this little bit of interwebs-ness, Bob Ross has really become something of an internet icon in very recent years, which is interesting. The painter had a TV show known as The Joy of Painting, which was actually first broadcast back in the 80s. And in recent years has just really picked up in popularity, has taken over meme culture, Bob Ross has become an action figure, which is kind of amazing, playable character in Smite, as well as the subject of a Twitch marathon that garnered 5.6 million viewers. So, yeah, if you haven't heard of or seen Bob Ross, I don't know how, but check him out. Very soothing painting. It just spreads joy, and it's lovely. And yeah, now his work is coming to Magic the Gathering. So, yeah, if you're like I said, if you're a fan of either one of those, check it out. Cool stuff happening. In completely unrelated news, because I still have no clue how to transition topics, Brie Larson has kind of released a new version of her song from Scott Pilgrim. Kind of. Emphasis on the kind of. So, Brie Larson has gifted fans with a present on Christmas Day in the form of a Black Sheep cover, which is the iconic song from the movie sung by Larson's character, Envy Adams. So, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, based on the comic series written by Brian Lee O'Malley. It's a meta feature film made in 2010 that was known for blending live action with the colorful graphics seen in comic books that are typically left out of the big screen adaptations. The story of the movie, wow, words, it follows Scott Pilgrim, played by Michael Cera, as he becomes enamored with the mysterious Ramona Flowers, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. While pursuing Ramona, Scott learns that if he wants to date her, he's got to battle 7 of her evil exes first. In the 10 years since the film's release, many of the stars from the movie have gone on to become massive names in Hollywood. So Chris Evans, Anna Kendrick, Mae Whitman, Aubrey Plaza, and Jason Schwartzman are just some of the people within the film who kind of started off fresh-faced there and have since become icons, as well as Brie Larson, who is another A-list celebrity who kind of got her feet wet in Scott Pilgrim. Now 31-year-old actress, who is the face of MCU's strongest superhero, has spent the past decade showcasing very impressive and versatile talents. She's earned herself several major awards, and most recently, I suppose, even though she is an industry tycoon, she has recently taken a very personable approach to her fans by creating a YouTube channel. In the 5 months since the channel was launched, Larson's posted 23 videos that really just kind of invite fans in and let you see a very different side of her than the one that you would see when she's walking down the red carpet. She posts a variety of different videos. She's got workout routines, vlogs of her cooking, a couple of her own audition stories. So if you're a fan of Brie Larson at all and have not yet heard of her YouTube channel, go check it out. There's a lot of really fun information on there, and I always love getting to see a different side of people. I feel like celebrities in general kind of often get the short end of the stick when it comes to like social interactions and whatnot and assumptions, because all you really see are what people report of them and or, you know, paparazzi things or whatnot. So I think more and more you see kind of A-list celebrities having their own Twitter or Instagram or YouTube channel that they're really able to kind of connect with fans on a different and more personable level, and that's them controlling, you know, what people see instead of just people trying to get a good story out of it, which might paint them in a negative light. So I love this for her. I love it in general, and definitely check it out. So since she started this YouTube channel, she's gotten a lot of interaction from fans and a lot of people requesting different things, including many, many people insistent upon wanting to see some Envy Adams content on the channel. Lucky for them, Larson has heard their cries and pleas and has gifted them a cover of the first half of Black Sheep. So this is actually in a video specifically about people's hopes for 2021. So Larson goes through and reads comments and sings them, doing guitar riffs and everything else. So it's a very improvised, very silly video. It's absolutely lovely. And one of the comments was that one of the hopes for 2021 was for a Black Sheep cover. So she kind of does a little fake out by singing the words, "A Black Sheep cover is what I hope for in 2021. But if you stick it out until the end of the video, then you can finally see Larson sing the famous rock song from Scott Pilgrim. So after getting through the first 2 verses of the song, Larson just kind of jokes, "Now you're just going to have to fight to get the second part of the song out of me." So here's hoping that fans will get a chance to hear the full version of the song sung by Larson. But until that day comes, Envy Adams fans can also watch Larson do a dance routine to Black Sheep in a different video on our YouTube channel. If you just want to hear the song or a new cover of the song itself, you can check out Anna Kendrick singing as Envy Adams in the 10-year anniversary table read the cast made earlier this year. Yeah, and if you're a fan of Larson, check out the YouTube channel. There's a lot of really interesting information on there, and it's, like I said, an incredible opportunity to kind of see a more personable side of the actress. She revealed on the YouTube channel earlier in a different video that she initially turned down playing Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel. Luckily, she took on the role because her performance was equally severe yet playful, something that she no doubt was able to pull off because of the two sides of Larson in real life. It's going to be... I'm super excited, personally, to see where she takes the character when Captain Marvel 2 comes out in 2022. And here's to hoping that by then we have a full version cover of Black Sheep from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. But... oh no, Rodney! Rodney has fallen! His perch needs to be reset up. There we go. It's okay. I apologize. You're too good for me. Too good to me for... anyways. Probably too good for me, too. Let's be honest. Rodney's okay now. Everything is right in the world. But I, lost my notes. There we go. Next up in Newsy Stuffs to chat about. There's no real good transition here, but Kanye West apparently tried to make a Nintendo game. And this is just fun news that we've heard. So, yay. Rapper Kanye West is a diversified individual. He's gone on to venture outside of the comforts of his day job as a hip-hop lyricist, and has actually seen success in the sneaker game. And apparently, he has more recently announced his political aspirations. 43-year-old ran for the recent U.S. presidential election earlier this year. And a very interesting and, again, diversified attempt. He ran for different things in different parties on different ballots for different states. So some people had the opportunity to vote for him for president. Some people had the opportunity to vote for him for vice president. It was an interesting run. He somehow managed to pull in over 60,000 votes, which is only slightly depressing, and again, including his own, naturally. So, I feel like we've all learned quite a lot about Kanye West this year. But more recently, we've learned from former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aime that Kanye, who released a trailer for a mobile game called Only One back in 2016, also tried to get the company to work on a certain project with him. So he actually sat down with the current, at the time, president of Nintendo in the US, after visiting Nintendo's corner at E3 several years ago. He spent some time with director Shigeru Miyamoto, and subsequently met with Reggie at his business office in Calabasas. However, the former Nintendo chief had to turn him down due to the workload the gaming giant was under at the time, as well as its super high standards. So yeah, they sat down, had a chat, Kanye West and Reggie, about developing a video game. However, Reggie's quoted as saying, "We had so many different projects at Nintendo going on. The possibility of doing something with Kanye just wasn't there. So I had to find a way to politely decline this opportunity to work with him." However, going on to say, you probably don't want to work with us. We have super high standards, etc. Kanye said, actually, you're exactly the type of person or a partner that I want to work with for that reason. Which I think was kind of surprising. So Reggie noted that Nintendo left the meeting feeling like Kanye had a real passion for the video game space. He's not the first rapper to jump into the gaming industry. Soulja Boy has released consoles in the past, which is a questionable venture, but, a venture nonetheless. And a number of other hip-hop stars have appeared in various video games over the years. Not just the one, but, this year too, I suppose. The Def Jam record label launched a series of fighting genre titles with EA during the early 2000s, featuring several personalities from the music industry, including Snoop Dogg, DMX, Ludacris, Sean Paul, and Elephant Man. So this is not the first time a collaboration like this has been attempted or done. It would have been actually really interesting to see what a West Nintendo collaboration would have looked like or yielded. It's never too late, you know. Never know what the future will hold, but it's interesting now to look back at this and say, okay, this is something that this person also has interest in. So yeah, Kanye West is has very broad interests, is what we learned, including Nintendo video games, apparently. Just a fun little interesting tidbit. That's all I really have for that. Alright, so next up is a bit of a more serious bit of news here. I talked in an earlier stream a few weeks ago about a very concerning piece of legislation that was being presented in a new bill that was kind of being tacked on to a very large, important bill, which is how a lot of people kind of how do you word this? A lot of times, controversial bills will get passed by being tacked onto very important bills. So one of those was a new felony streaming measure that was super concerning for a lot of creatives. And I kind of talked about my concern, especially with the fact that the full wording, I suppose, the language of the measure itself was not released until just before it passed. So it kind of scared a lot of people. What we know now, that it has officially been passed, is that it is not meant to affect streamers, which is really good news. Still somewhat concerning in how this went about, but good news nonetheless. So, on Monday, as part of a massive piece of legislature that includes over $2 trillion in government spending and coronavirus relief packages, included a handful of controversial copyright and trademark measures, so there were a few things tacked on. The one that I'm talking about in particular is this felony streaming bill authored by Senator Tom Tillis, and the issue with this is the news kind of spread before anybody had a lot of information on it. Essentially, all we knew about it was that this is going to make what is currently a misdemeanor into a felony, which is terrifying from a streamer's perspective, because that means that, you know, as I talked about before, copyright is such a difficult to understand and difficult to police, if you will, legal gray area in a lot of ways. There's a lot of confusion there. There's a lot of issues with that. We've seen this year in particular streamers dealing with a lot of setbacks with copyright infringement, and so now this news again that streaming copyrighted work is going from a misdemeanor to a felony. It was terrifying. However, now that the language has been released, it's really important to note that this is not meant to impact streamers. It's not meant to, you know, it's not gonna see, you're not gonna see an impact on you know, YouTubers or Twitch streamers or things like that, or and as a viewer, this is not gonna impact you either. This is meant very specifically to deal with and address pirated streams. So actual corporations that make profit off of streaming copyrighted material in full. So yeah, like I feel like the news circulated caused a lot of panic, including concern on, you know, my end. It was concerning for a lot of people, but now that there is an official press release from Tillis' office, as well as statements made by tech advocacy groups like Public Knowledge, you know, they've stated that streamers and their fans have no cause for alarm. An official quote from Meredith Rose, Senior Policy Counsel at Public Knowledge, said, as a general matter, we do not see the need for further criminal penalties for copyright infringements. However, this bill is criminalizing criminalizing users who may do nothing more than click on a link or upload a file. It does not criminalize streamers who may include unlicensed works as part of their streams. The text of the bill also affirms this reading. So on the 4th page of the bill, there's an outline that what would qualify as felony behavior underneath this law. So currently, streaming unlicensed content is a misdemeanor offense. What this means is previously organizations like the NFL would sue sites like NFL Byte that recast games, but if approved, the Tillis measures would open the door for the FBI to pursue those website owners under threat of prison time. So essentially in the past, there really wasn't much you could do other than slap on the wrist for stolen material, or recast, restreamed material. And this new measure allows companies to have a bit more pull. Again, it's more than just a slap on the wrist or a take down this video. But again, it's directed at people who know what they're doing, not accidental streamers, not partial streams, not anything like this. So while the penalties and enforcement are both stepping up, the bill would not change what is legal and what is not. So the things that are impacted under this bill have always been against the law. It's just now what can be done about it from an enforcement perspective. Essentially, that's shifting. And very importantly, there is nothing in the text of the bill that suggests platforms' moderation of everyday copyright violations would need to change. So in a statement directly from Tillis' office describing the purpose of the legislation, it's quoted as saying, "The Protecting Lawful Streaming Act will apply only to commercial for-profit streaming piracy services. The law will not sweep in normal practices by online service providers, good faith business disputes, non-commercial activities, or in any way impact individuals who access pirated streams or unwittingly stream unauthorized copies of copyrighted works. Individuals who might use pirate streaming services will not be affected. Still, it is totally understandable that YouTubers and streamers freak out about a bill whose final text was released literally days before it was approved." Also worth noting, and part of what caused some of this panic, is that social video platforms have not really done the best job in the past and recently with copyright. So the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA, claims and strikes have been just kind of sweeping through Twitch in particular, and striking down a bunch of different videos. And streamers were finding that clips that had been up for years that maybe had like a very small piece in the background were being pulled in their entirety, and streamers were receiving blocks instead of, it was just impacting people on a much larger scale than anticipated. Copyright is super messy. I've said it before. I will harp on it again. I personally do believe that creators should get paid for their work. So copyright is important because without it, anybody can steal anything and use it and claim it as their own. So I do definitely understand the importance of copyright. I certainly understand the importance of switching and shifting legislation as the internet grows, as things shift, as new things are created. Obviously, legislation has to change to keep up with it. But it's such a fine line, and it's such a messy thing. So on December 16th, Twitch addressed the proposal in its town hall, saying that the company did not expect the bill to affect its platform or its users. But it still was just so vague that it did cause a lot of concern for a lot of people. Also worth noting, copyright activists, this isn't necessarily time to rest easy because there's a lot of things that happened. This was not the only copyright measure that could have big consequences that was pushed through in this multi-trillion-dollar package deal. The CASE Act was also approved in the package. And this would create a quasi-judicial copyright claims court within the Copyright Office. What this means is that copyright holders could be awarded up to $30,000 in damages if they find their creative work being shared online. Again, it's good but has such potential to be misused that it's concerning. And we don't quite know who's going to be impacted by this. It's not meant to impact the little guy, but that doesn't mean that it won't. Also worth noting that Senator Tillis is planning to offer up additional copyright changes next year that are spooking the tech and creative industries. National Journal reported that Tillis has been circulating a draft proposal of a bill that would completely reform the DMCA. The bill would include a notice and stay down provision that could make copyright bots like YouTube's Content ID even stricter than it already is. And YouTube is kind of known for striking things that aren't even necessarily copyrighted. Like they strike first and then it has to be disputed because of the bot that they use. And so this is actually kind of expanding on that and giving these bots more power and spreading them across more content. And right now, the copyright striking tech is really hit or miss, so that's slightly concerning. It's just going to add additional steps for small-time creators. And the concern with this is large, massive companies that are the ones that are breaking the law now have the money and power and sway and lawyers to potentially weasel their way around new laws, whereas new creators and the little guy and, you know, baby streamers like moi, I don't have a full team of lawyers, so if I accidentally mess up, you know, so it's an easy strike. Again, I want to make it clear that that's not what this is meant to do. The wording of this, thankfully, is meant to deal with large-scale people who are making income off of pirated streams. This is not meant to be like it's not meant to hurt in any way, shape, or form the little guy who might accidentally play the wrong music. It's just going to be interesting to see if this leads to significant overblocking of everyday content on platforms that Americans use literally daily for work, communication, fun. But that just is something that's going to have to, you know, we're going to have to wait and see. I will continue to keep talking about this topic in general as new information comes about, as new laws come about. This is something that personally interests me, but also has a massive impact on the entertainment industry, specifically as we're seeing shifts from, like, the entertainment industry. Obviously you think of massive labels that are a big deal, but more and more in as time goes on, we see small-time creators actually able, in some cases, to make a living off of their personal creations. This includes YouTube, this includes Twitch, this includes TikTok, and lots of different platforms that are providing the opportunity for people to kind of do their own thing, produce their own content, and not necessarily rely on an agent, a studio, you know, producers and all that jazz. So, as the industry shifts, laws do need to shift. You know, it's something that does, again, it needs to happen, but it's such a fine line. So, we at DVSI Entertainment are going to keep an eye out on this particular topic, just to see kind of what changes and how it impacts, and we're going to do our best to keep giving you guys up-to-date information, and update it as we get more information. So that's all I have to say about that. Yay, this isn't attacking the little guy, but just, we're going to be careful because this could potentially be used to attack the little guy. Anyways, yeah, that's all I really got. Yeah, and that actually pretty much wraps up what I want to talk about today on eSpot Live. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We here at DVSI Entertainment across the board are, as always, incredibly grateful for your continued support. I don't really have any specific announcements or plugs for today, but I do want to just plug our stuff in general. So if you have not already, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. We've got new content coming out very, very soon. We're super excited. We're relaunching a lot of things. We're changing a lot of things. And we just really want you guys on this journey with us. We appreciate all of your subscriptions, all of your comments, all of your feedback. And speaking of feedback and things like that, check us out on Steam. We've released our very first video game called Awoken, Chapter 1 of Reverie. It's available for purchase in its early access form And we're just super excited about this. Our devs have been working so very hard on improving the game, working across holidays and doing everything else. We are listening to you guys. So, if you checked it out before and were confused and gave feedback, we've listened to you and we've made updates. So check it out again. Share it with your friends. We're working so hard on this, and all of the feedback that we get is going into not only improving this early access release, but also improving the final version that's going to be released next year, that we could not be more excited about. We've got plans, y'all, and we want you to be part of it. And we also want to produce a project that you guys like. So there you go. Show your support. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. if you live on the other coast. Tune in on Twitch or YouTube, because I can stream simultaneously now. Woo! Yeah. Thank you for all that you do, and I will see you, or be seen by you. That never gets unawkward. I'll see y'all in the chat on Thursday. In the meantime, happy holidays. Make sure that you're staying safe, staying healthy, staying hydrated. Because I'm a mom when it comes to water, apparently. That's just a thing. And stay devious. We'll see you guys very soon.